Hi everyone, this is TM86 here, and today we're going to be doing a technical how-to video on replacing the LCD screen on the Akai Advance 61 MIDI keyboard. I purchased this keyboard for $120, delivered to me in town from someone off of Craigslist. I didn't pay attention and didn't realize that the screen was broken. But I was able to contact Akai and buy a replacement screen. I don't use this MIDI keyboard with any kind of DAW or software. So I need the screen because there's no way to do any MIDI mapping with a computer that can save that map to the keyboard to be used for hardware. Specifically, the synth that I'm using to control with a keyboard is the Roland SH32. I'll be taking this keyboard into the workshop, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it before we get started opening it up. These Akai MIDI keyboards nowadays are really set up to work the best with DAW and plug it into a computer. I don't really do that. I contacted Akai and spoke to them at great length about this. The only way that I can map this to the SH32 is by navigating the display. There's no editing software out there for the Akai Advance where you can map it on the computer and have it save onto the controller itself, so you can use this with hardware. It does not exist. And they have no plans on releasing any editing software to do that. So I went ahead and purchased a replacement LCD display from them. It was $60, that's USD, shipped. I think where'd it come from? Yeah, it came from Reno, Nevada. I'm on the East Coast. It got here in a little over a week. And I'm just going to keep it right here so you can get the part number, which should be right here. And if you contact them, they'll be able to get one of these out to you. It's not really worth it for me to send this in for repairs because at that point I might as well have bought one used. I believe Guitar Center had them online for $220 to $225 used for one of them. That worked perfectly. So we're going to try and save some money here. This all together, I will have $180 in it. Not that great of a deal for the work I got to do. Have no idea what lies ahead of me, but I'm just trying to do what I can to salvage the deal here. So let's get started. I've never opened this up before. Excuse the mess in the workshop. It's always like this, and I don't plan on changing. All right, here's the back side, and you're not going to get all this in the frame here, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 400 screws that we're going to have to remove. I'm going to get a better shot of these for you now. So we're going to go ahead and remove all of the screws that you see on the back panel here. I'm going to go ahead and remove all these, and we'll be right back. So I've removed the 400 screws. Here they are here. There's going to be two different lengths and sizes here. You're going to have the long guys here, which aren't really that long, and then the shorter, smaller diameter ones. The longer ones are going to go on the outer edge and in these deep recesses. The smaller ones are going to go here towards the inside with a much shallower recess. Alright, so this back panel is basically ready to come clean off. I pulled it up a little bit. I can see there is some stuff attached to the back here. A little bit of length to work with. And, wow, okay. Well, fortunately for us, there's the screen. Looks like we're going to have to remove this circuit board and flip it over because, as you can see, actually, no, maybe not. These little screws are facing the right way. I'm going to try to replace this screen without taking off that circuit board. I don't think there's a need to remove these ribbons. I'm trying to do this as less intrusively as possible. So these ribbons were just connected to a little zip tie here. I opened that up and it gave me a few more inches to work with. If I need to, I'm probably going to disconnect them from over here. These two locations. Here's a broad shot just to see what you're working with. Again, this is the back side. I'm going to use a tiny little screwdriver and remove this back plate. It might be some kind of heat shield or a heat sink. With the 4 screws out in the corner, those little silver guys there, this metal plate can come out. Let's see what we're working with now. I believe this is the ribbon that's attached to the LCD display. I'm just trying to kind of carefully move this out of the way. Like so. Okay, got a little adhesive foam blocks here that seem to be made of a metal mesh. That might be for grounding. I'm not really sure. Okay, these little bushings are removable. So I'm going to remove these little 4 bushings here. Again, I've never attempted this, never done this before. That little spongy metal block just popped right off, so might as well just pull it off completely. And there we go, we have our screen. So, what I'm going to do now is remove the ribbon attached to the screen from the back of this board right here. Okay, so after fiddling with this for quite a while and breaking a little chip out of this white retaining clip, I figured out how to remove the ribbon. So it's like I originally thought. You have these little black legs. Terribly sorry for the shaky camera. But if you look over here, you'll see them on each side of this ribbon. You take a pick and pull straight back. And what it does is they open up and allow, you see that little black tray? It's all one piece. It allows you to pull the ribbon clean out. So now I have the old screen here. The ribbon cable comes attached. And I have my new replacement screen from Akai here. It's a little weird that they look completely different. I'm hoping they sent the right part. The ribbon looks the same. I don't see a part number or anything on the new one, but they look to be close enough. We're going to find out, y'all. So the replacement display does drop in to about the same spot. I mean, they're roughly the same dimensions. And it doesn't seem to move around. Again, I apologize about this, but it is just a little bit tricky. Alright, what I'm going to go ahead and do is reattach those little foam blocks on the bottom left and the top right corners of the back side of the display. Forgot to mention, I also added those little white bushings to each corner. And those little metal mesh pads, they're not really adhering the way they were before, so they're just going to kind of sit there. The other one's moving around a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to put this main PCB on the back side and bring that little ribbon around and plug it back in. And then I'm going to go ahead and, put the ribbon cables back in place right here. Attach the metal heat shield or heat sink or whatever this is, possibly a ground or a guard. And then the last step will be to put the back panel back on and button this thing up and, of course, test it. Okay, so man, that little ribbon is tedious to get back into place. I pushed it in as far as I could. You can see a little bit of the copper contact pins, the little strips exposed on the back side here. I just reviewed the footage of when I removed it, and it's the same amount showing. So I believe that this ribbon cable is pushed in far enough to seat and make contact with all the pins on the board. I think we're okay. I've got the 4 little silver screws bolted down. Everything is firmly in place. And I believe now, well, now I get to do it over again because I forgot to add the heat shield. All right. So also, I know I'm a total idiot and this is not a heat shield. I don't know what else to call it, a metal tray, but whatever. You didn't make the first video on how to do this, I did. So I could call it a hot dog bun if I want to. Little side note, getting these screws back in might be a bit cumbersome as well, so it seemed like it was a problem with all the holes lining up between the metal plate and the little white plastic bushing and the black screw slot and everything. So I took my pick and shoved it in there and dug it around a little bit. All right, so the back panel more or less wants to go back on. It might take a little finagling. There is a lot of wires and ribbon cables and stuff going on sandwiched in between these these panels, so do be careful and just try to finagle it a little bit. It seems to be all right now. It feels like there's a good seam around the back side anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and button this thing back up, and then we're going to plug it in and see what we get. All right, it's all plugged back in. This is the synthesizer I use with it. Now for the moment of truth. All right, well, I'm a little afraid to say it, everyone, but I think I might have fixed it. Whew, okay. Moral of the story, read the description if you're buying used gear. And also, if you're going to try and, if you do make this mistake, it's really not that hard. It was fairly straightforward. You just got to be careful. But if you're looking to buy used, make sure you can test it out. Don't be like me. Anyway, I hope this helps somebody out there in the future. And I hope the world hasn't been destroyed by killer robots. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, like the video. If you like what you see, maybe consider subscribing. All right, see you next time, everybody. Baby doll.